Oh, I totally forgot to add DeWitt to the overlay, but you know what? It's so perfect that DeWitt subbed while we were playing the Bioshock music. Anybody Booker DeWitt? Alright, anyways. Millenium versus Complexity Dignitas, guys. We'll do this series, then we go over to the Go for StarCraft Cup. Again, I was just planning to cast Go for StarCraft today, but two wonderful opportunities arose to cast the Acer Team Story Cup, so of course we're going to capitalize on those, spawning here in this fresh best-of-9 series between these two teams. In the top left corner of the map from Dignitas, representing Complexity Dignitas, the alliance between those two teams. It is the red Protoss, Bling, who's very aware of his opponent, calling him Terminator. Bottom right corner of the map from Millenium, the strongest guy in recent days, it is Dayshi. I don't know what it is about Dayshi. Maybe it's his swag, maybe it's his weird crush that he's had on Jakshi that's trying to, like, I guess, soaked energy from him like a sponge. But Daishi's been kicking so much ass to the point where, and I know this is blasphemy, people are going to get mad, in the Acer Team Story Cup specifically and exclusively, I would almost consider him better than 4GG. I only say this because when we do cast Dayshi and we cast 4GG only comes in for like the ace match. He comes in, he gets that last kill, he wins the game, or he gets knocked out early. Dayshi has been consistently taking like 3 games per Acer Team Story Cup match, 2 games per Acer Team Story Cup match, like doing so well for his team every single time. And of course we cast him just yesterday, and he came very close to like an all kill too. So I'm not sure how he's gonna do here today. Oh yeah, we also saw for the Nation Wars. I mean, Dayshi is just like, he's king when it comes to Terran lately, for Europe at least. I mean, a lot of people even kind of scoffed him and joke about his TVT, but even that's been improving. He won versus Happy twice in a row yesterday for Nation Wars, Russia versus France. So I mean, here in the Acer Team Story Cup, we'll see how he handles up versus Dignitas Bling. The Complexity Dignitas has not had a lot of luck this season. Much love to their players. I mean, honestly, I got the biggest man crush on Select. Tefl has impressed me with his Korean killing prowess in the longest times. Bling has kind of been off my radar, but he's not been too bad. And of course, let's look at the roster of QXC and Henkel's they can dip into as well. But I mean, they haven't had a lot of luck this season. Millennium's been doing not too poorly, but I'm actually not sure if this particular match influences playoffs at this point. I'd have to actually go look at the Acer Team Story Cup website to confirm. But yeah, this is it's been a long season. We're getting close to an end. These are some of the last few matches to play out, guys, and we got some good games left to be had. I sadly don't think we'll be involved Base TV with the playoffs, but you guys will have either Caldor or probably Nathanius or Take TV in English, whatever the case may be. But make sure you watch the playoffs, because the top 4 teams, there's already like Axiom lock in there, Team Liquid of course. There's so many good teams left, and the playoffs are only going to be better from this point onwards. But this is not the playoffs just yet. I'm really excited and hyped, because the thing is, like, about StarCraft 2, even if I can't cast it, there are some things I will just like I will get more hyped for a team or a player that we're attached to than I will for any Korean name you throw out there, like any GSL finals. I am the biggest fanboy when it comes to dealing with players that we've seen grow over the course of a season. You know, you hear WCS talk about storylines, and for a lot of people that means nothing, but for me that's always been like a really, really big deal, and the Acer Team Story Cup has certainly had a lot of those interesting storylines built up throughout the season. But Probe gonna come here at Bling with that expansion being scouted here at Dayshi. Dayshi can comfortably know that this will not be a proxy oracle. The other big thing he scouted was the extra pylons in base. Sorry, getting off my fanboyisms and talking about what's going on in the game. He didn't scout the 3rd pylon out of Bling, but you don't need to scout the 3rd pylon if you see the Nexus come down, because you know at the same time this is a lot of minerals that have to be devoted into other things. You can't proxy a dark shrine and afford all of this at the same time. For Bling, I think his probe got picked off there pretty quick. No, he actually turned it around to the watchtower, so he didn't. Ooh, he didn't see anything Dayshi was doing. Now, for early game scouting in Protoss, I don't think it's the biggest deal in the world that you like absolutely must see what your opponent's doing. At the same token that it is for a Terran player to do that to a Protoss. But Dayshi's actually sitting up here pretty nicely for the same similar opening we just finished watching out of Innovation, possibly having the Widow Mine go across the map, do a bit of damage, 6 Marines inside of a medevac. You name it, Bob's your uncle, things die. King Sejong is actually a really nice map for this, because again, you drop the Widow Mine not necessarily in the Mineral Alliance. You can, of course, but usually on the ramp to zone out one of the Stalkers. The mentality behind this is, if your Widow Mine hits either the Mothership Core or the Stalkers, the 6 Marines have more than enough DPS to finish what's left around. And if you can kill off the Stalkers, it's way better than getting 1 miracle hit on like 6 probes. Your Marines will clear out the entire probe line. Now he does scout here and sees the Twilight Council. I don't think he sees the +1 weapons. No, so he doesn't see the Forge. The Forge is barely not in that scan. But seeing the Twilight Council come down is a little bit disconcerting. This isn't an amazing Blink map though. And this is a map where you certainly can abuse Blink, don't get me wrong, but this is not exactly your Yansu. This is not exactly your Frost maps when it comes to dealing with Blink. Oh man, he gets right on top of his mothership core. He's actually going to snipe that off. He's going to lose the Marines for it. This is already screwed. I'll get a couple probe kills instead. I'm sorry, there's first blood in there. Ooh, mothership core. Got to get back to doing that. Gets a couple probe kills with it too. I mean, 2 probe kills not exactly amazing, but the mothership core, I was going to say certainly made that worthwhile, but not until he lost that Widow Mine. The Widow Mine is significantly more expensive than the Marines are, 25.75 being the cost, but, or no, other way around, 75.25 being the cost, but coming out here with the medevac. They get caught in the middle of the map. This is going to sting a little bit. Dayshi boosts away. Bling, of course, has Blink on the way, but it's not done yet. By the time it gets here, there's already cannons coming down, though, so I think Bling was ready for any sort of Widow Mines after seeing that first one. Ooh, didn't catch this little sneaky guy burrowed over here. Nice move there out of Dayshi. He unloaded the Widow Mine from the medevac. Still, 6 Marines can definitely deal with Stalkers, but they don't have stim, so it's not going to be the easiest thing in the world. And the cannon alone may just simply deter this. Level 2 weapon upgrades being chronoed out right now. Something that's not the biggest scout in the world, but one thing that he did need to see. Now, focus fire on the medevac is really good, actually. This will make it so the Marines can't fight, as the medevac's the one thing that keeps this overpowered and alive, but it's shot. Almost goes off, and he keeps us alive in the far corner of the map. So this could possibly be a drop for later. He's not going to be able to get this out alive anytime soon, not with Blink's paying attention, because all it's going to take is like 1 good Stalker shot to knock this down. 15 damage with 14 health. You do the math. Back at home, though, he's actually getting a siege tank for defense. I find this a little bit interesting. You don't see this a lot. Siege tanks have kind of fallen out of way for versus Protoss. I think there's some players like Goody who obviously they still try and do mech versus Protoss, and we've seen some good combination Widow Mines mixed in with Banshees to make tanks work, but that's not what Daishi's going for at all. Medevac does go down, he unloads the Marines, but forces out another overcharge through this. So, I mean, this was basically a dead Medevac on borrowed time. He gets the overcharge for it, a probe kill, 2 probe kills actually, so not the worst use of that, but that could have gone much better, of course. Anyways, the thing about this tank is while it's very odd to see, it's actually going to be incredibly effective. The Stalkers can't afford to blink up on top of it like you normally would see. Ooh, that Widow should not have moved. Normally if a Stalker just blink on top of a tank, and that's what makes it so useless. It takes it just out of the fight and can't do anything, but in this instance, there's so many bunkers and Widow Mines down potentially. I don't think Bling's going to be able to just blink in on top of the tank. This could be bad news as far as his attack goes. It's great news for Daishi's defense. No high ground vision just yet. So go straight to the main. Looking for a position to get here through the front lines, but that's not going to happen. Widow Mine goes off. Going to take some shields away. Second Widow Mine not going to go off, but the tank will take away the rest of those shields, and that'll send Bling packing. Oh man, tanks hit so flipping hard. They hit so slow, so Stalker's not exactly super scared off by this, but looking for a better positional engagement, and who can blame him? He may end up going for the debris in the back, just knock this down to open a pathway for later, but Daishi's not going to respond to this in time, sadly. I like what he set up in the main, though. Another tank's positioned back here. We got Marauders coming out. Even if these rocks fall, these Blink Stalkers won't end the game. If Bling tries to blink in, Bling is going to die. He may pick off the first bunker, but there's so many Marauders and siege tanks on high ground positioning behind this. There's just no way for him to get in here. So backing away from this, using his upgrades, by the way, abusing his upgrades. Level 3 weapons finishing up here in a moment's time. Third base already finished up. Dayshi stuck on 2 with no third command center in sight. Is looking to be in a bit of a tough bind. He's not in a position where he can necessarily move across the map and take a good fight, even though he does have an army supply lead, because there's always that threat that the Blink Stalkers will come in, but looks like he's going to try and move out a little bit. Positioning against these Bling Stalkers is going to be so difficult. The tanks unsiege will actually do some pretty nice damage. Sims forward here, but he does this without a medevac, so no support on top of these Marauders. Another concussive shell will catch him, another one of these Stalkers. They do try and blink away, but that stim's a little bit too good. Where are those pesky medevacs that we come to the front line? Siege tanks sieging up, expecting more of a fight, but unsiege afterwards. 4 siege tanks in this composition. So strange and so surreal to look at. But even unsieged guys, with a 1 attack speed, 25 damage a shot, these siege tanks are pretty darn good. You don't have to have them sieged. A lot of people forget just how good siege tanks single target DPS is. I think one of the possible things that he could do is I guess maybe try and take a position towards the side. I mean, you can't. I don't believe this reaches that cannon. I wouldn't be 100% sure. I've never actually tried it myself. But Dayshi moving up here towards the north. The Stimpak's doing alright, but the Siege Tanks are a little bit late to the fight, and this Blink is retaining so many of these Stalkers. As Dayshi starts losing his army, these can just move forward on top of the tanks, get in that dead zone, picks up what he can to boost away, but that's not going to be enough. Even picks up another one on the way too. Oh boy, Dayshi took a... If he had been pre-sieged into that, maybe that would have looked a little bit differently, but picks off 2 of the medevacs, however, doesn't get the only medevac that had units inside of it, so big props to Dayshi. Behind this, though, you know, there's not a lot really going on. Bling doesn't need a lot going on at home. He's really going to try and abuse these level 3 weapon upgrades. He's just going to shred. I mean, even versus non-light units, or sorry, versus non-armored units, 13 damage a shot is still a lot of damage. But he blinks forward here into the Widow Mine. Decent pop's going to go off. There's not as many bunkers as there were before. Another siege tank was sieged up behind this. Dayshi is going to have to perform the hold of his life here. It looks like he might just do this with another stim. Sends these Stalkers packing. He lost a bunker for this and one of his siege tanks, but he holds on strong. 9 SCVs were pulled into this, also went down. But what's scary is while he did build a 3rd command center, he can't take this, and he knows that there's the Blink Stalker presence is too real. It's too much of a big threat. You know, actually, was it Tam players on the single player campaign? They get the psi emitters. They need to, they totally need to include a thing that's like an anti-blink emitter. Like anything within like this radius can't blink. That'd be pretty cool. Mess up the technological EMPs or something. Anyways, big blink towards the main is gonna be a big problem. Oh, it's gonna catch the siege tank as soon as it spawns. Or maybe not. Marines simming back here to try and deal with this. Siege tank is still in an awkward bind. He loses the factory. Oh, he can pick up the siege tank. Doesn't pick up the siege tank, and the Stalkers blink out of here alive. Ugh, such a nuisance to deal with. Bunker in the front, unguarded, unprotected. Siege tanks also getting blinked upon once again. He's going to clean up a large portion of these Stalkers this time, but still at the cost of many of his siege tanks. And for Dayshi, he's not exactly getting the best end of these trades either. Obviously trying to, of course, but you can't be at 9 positions at once. The Stalker's blink is a little more powerful than Medevacs drops, but decides to go for an expansion towards the north here. This is a really ballsy move, but Bling, of course, is camping down here to the south, so he knows that that's not safe. Once again, going to try and cancel this factory, or go for the kill on it. Stalkers can take this fight, though. You can never Marauders can take this fight. You can never undervalue the damage a Marauder brings to a Stalker fight. But over here on the more reinforcements warping, and he sees this new command center. Dayshi is in a really tough spot, guys. If he had more medevacs, this would look a little bit different. But he's got not enough medevacs to drop with. He's got not enough medevacs to fight with, and he's so concerned in getting tanks out, which is the right choice. Don't get me wrong. That he can't really fight all these Blink Stalkers. But he cleans up at the right side. However, this compromises his natural while this is going on. Blink Stalkers move on through. Stimming back home to try and defend. A couple SCVs do go down. No tanks left to defend, with one on the high ground actually shelling away from afar. But Blink, once again, being too good at retaining his units. Or Bling, rather. Well, Bling with Blink. You know what? Screw it. If I say Bling, I mean Blink, and vice versa. 27 workers dead at this point, and that 3rd base still pretty exposed. Dayshi's going to try and building some bunkers, but, I mean, as we've seen, bunkers only help. They don't really stop this. It's worth noting, though, while Bling has been he's been applying so much pressure and investing so heavily in these Stalkers with the upgrades as well, he doesn't have a follow-through yet. There's no Robo Bay down. He's not got Colossus to come out with this. He's relying on Blink Stalkers purely and entirely, and for this reason alone, I hate him. I'm sorry, no. All jokes aside, though, he really does need to start considering getting some Colossus out. With these massive upgrades, one of the biggest, most advantageous things he could do is not rely purely on Stalkers, but instead get a couple Colossus in the army. Get that composition that can actually take this head on. Hell, maybe some Immortals as well, because this is primarily Marauders and Siege Tanks. Whatever the case may be, though, he's sticking with Blink and goes for a 4th. Really fortified in here, but this also then again exposes this portion. For Dayshi, I don't know if he needs a sensor tower, I don't know if he needs more bunkers, maybe a missile turret or something, whatever the case may be. His main base can be blinked upon once again as the observer moves over to the left. The natural base just simply wide open, looking for a big fight. He's going to stim over here to try and defend it. I actually can focus down the orbital, I think, before the army gets here. Decides not, backs away from this, takes out the bunker. 2 more SCVs, 3 more SCVs go down behind this. And Dayshi's army, of course, finding trouble trading into this. Lifting the command center might be his best bet at this point. Not to escape, but to let his army through. But he stims on forward, charges through here. He's got some more concussive shells firing left and right. Some of these Stalkers are starting to die off. So much of this army is low for Bling, but he keeps the majority of it alive once more. And Dayshi can't quite chase this down. Of course, the biggest fear is there's another pylon put up over here. He doesn't know about it. Siege Tank will hold against minor aggression, but lots of Blink Stalkers will change that. I do like the investment in a Ghost Academy. EMPs will be really nice. He doesn't know that there's no follow-up to this, but as far as Dayshi's concerned, there's probably Storm or Colossus on the horizon, and he can't afford to invest in Vikings blindly, and he can't afford to go for a lot of actual units. So by having the potential for Ghosts, having that potential EMP, that'll help with the Stalkers, it'll deal with potential High Templar, and of course will assist versus Colossus, may they ever come. But we know, I know, you know, we know, there's not actually going to be Colossus coming out anytime soon. He's sticking with Blink Stalkers. Oh, these siege things, we'll fend this off. But that's compromising the natural once again. This goes down, the Ghost Academy will fall as well, and Bling with so many Stalkers, 43. No, has he even made a Zealot this game? I really truly don't know if any other units have been made this game other than just Stalkers, but Bling is making it work pretty well. And a big part of this, guys, I really want to stress this, like, all jokes aside, this isn't because, like, he's Protoss, power of Protoss, a move, lol. Like, Bling's Blink has been really good. The choice to blink all of his Stalkers at once is a really hard one to make versus blinking 3 at a time and then a full disengage afterwards. I think Dayshi, though, is hitting this point where he's going to have to go for a counterattack. He's got to recognize, like, okay, you know what? I just can't defend his stupid blink shenanigans. So as he moves out on the map, he's got to be so careful he doesn't overextend, he doesn't overexpose himself. There's a Ghost in the composition for a good EMP or 2 if he can land it, but that's a lot of Stalkers coming in from the left side. The medevacs are so exposed. The Marauders, not quite ready to fight. He only sends portions of his army. This is what I love about Dayshi, by the way. Like, if we're gonna like give praise and award here, while Bling's doing some great, fantastic things with the Blink Micro, Dayshi's not overstimming his army. He's only segmenting like half off at a time. Marauders still coming in here. Oh my god, there's so many Stalkers coming in though. So he's gonna have some trouble holding this base. Makes the choice to not go for a full fight. Segments some Marauders backwards to go back home, but he may have pulled a little too much. Realizing this, he actually, pulls him back to the front line. He can leave the reinforcements to clean up this mess. Pushes in towards this base location. Siege tanks could and should siege soon, I would hope. There we go. Of course, Ghost in the back is going to have to get an EMP off before it goes down. Misses it. Gets the tail end of a couple Stalkers. He's almost got enough energy for another one, though. So, takes down the Nexus. Continues to push forward. Here does Dayshi. 10 probes died in that engagement, but I think 10 probes at this point, not a big deal. But the Mothership core going down means no overcharge, but more importantly than that, no time warps. You don't need an overcharge at this stage of the game. You need time warps. Another EMP goes off, takes out a good chunk of the Stalker shields. This should make this a little more viable to deal with. We'll see if the Blink is going to be enough to hold it this time. The Siege tanks are doing a ton of damage, and the Stalkers are being thinned out for once. Last time Blink took this fight the other way around, Dayshi is going to destroy these Stalkers, and he retains 3 of his Siege tanks. GG is going to be called, and Dayshi, ladies and gentlemen, will take the game through calm, collected decision-making and not panicking. This could have been a million times worse for him.